to another episode of the Sacred Sisterhood podcast. And I have a surprise guest for you all today, the Joyful Shaman. I have Yudy Veras Bueno, and she is a transformational soul coach and emotional spiritual guide. And she is also a best-selling author of the book titled The Becoming of a Light Warrior. And we are going to be talking about relationships and COVID-19 today. So welcome, Yudy. Welcome. Tell us a bit about who you are, who the Joyful Shaman is, and how she came to be.
Well, first of all, I wanted to say thank you. And before we started, I was just mentioning that I'm very excited to be here because whenever I go to an interview, I review the host, make sure that the teacher is in alignment with what I have to say. And I was so excited to see, this post you made early March. It says calling the light warrior. And my book, The Becoming of a Light Warrior, right? It's almost, I felt like it is a call. So thank you for having me and for me answering the call. And I'm so excited to be here. And so how I became the Joyful Shaman, well, I became the Joyful Shaman one day that I look at myself in the mirror and I realized that I was a very miserable workaholic pretending to be a successful career woman, right? And how many of us feel that way? And then realizing that I could not continue that way, to be brave enough to take the time, the resources to heal my inner child, that 7-year-old that suffered from molestation, sexual abuse, depression, anxiety, eating disorder that culminated on a heart attack. And then I realized I cannot continue living this way. So I embarked myself into a healing journey. And it was amazing because I not only was able to start this healing, but I was able to understand and step into my inner power and to reclaim those power. And now I'm paying that forward, working with women's, coaching, guiding, helping them heal and find their superpowers. That's how I call them. And so I'm very excited because it sounds like we are in the same practice, right? I'm very excited.
I am super excited too. And yes, we do have very similar stories, very similar work that we're doing out in the world. And I'm very excited to explore this conversation with you today. So tell me about a little bit about how your work has evolved during quarantine times.
Well, it's been an interesting thing because from the beginning, when I opened my practice and I started working with women, I always use Zoom one-on-one coaching, right? One-on-one guidance and healing. But I also, at the same time, started doing the healing circle, women healing circles. But I always did it, in person. And, I needed a venue. And it was sort of like I have all these rules, right? Around that. And then all of a sudden I'm home and I'm like, well, now more than ever they need the healing circles. And so I started the online healing circle every Monday. Before it was like maybe once a month, and now it's every week. And I found it so, it's such a need. People need it. And not only women's, I have men coming into the healing circle. So it's been an amazing transformation. And also I always work with women's and couples, right? But all of a sudden the women's are home, and they're facing the reality that they're there 24/7 with, with a man that sometimes they feel don't understand them. It's like, I'm stuck here with this guy. What do I do? And it's been very interesting time.
Yes, it's very confronting for a lot of people right now, isn't it? Because our patterns have been disrupted, and anything
Yes.
that we've kind of just shoved to the side, like, oh, I'll look at this later,
Yeah.
it's here now. It's here now. Like, there's no avoiding it. So we're really having to take responsibility for all of those parts of ourselves that we have been avoiding.
Exactly. And the thing is, because, there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear. And when you are in fear, the survival mode kicks in, right? And so now anything that used to bother you, but it wasn't such a big deal, now become this huge thing, you see? And people feel like they have to, it's like they get so disrupted, they get so irritated. And it's interesting. It's a very interesting situation, and I say that in challenging situation, your true nature, your essence of who you are, sort of like starts showing up, or that essence that is being suppressed, right? And now it feels trapped, and it's a I think it's a profound experience if we take the time to truly learn from this.
Absolutely. And you had said that part of your awakening was you were overworking to the point of a heart attack and
Yes.
realizing that you were this burnt out career woman and that you were totally disconnected from that deeper essence within yourself. So how can you speak to women that might be experiencing that very thing right now, that they've been forced to be at home for 24 hours a day and they're actually starting to realize that they're not happy with the way that they've
Yeah.
been living their lives?
Well, the thing is that, we are put ourselves in this little bubble, and which we feel safe, and we don't make changes because of this illusion that, I don't want to take the risk because how that's going to look like. And oh my God. And it's sort of like this idea of safety that is truly an illusion, because we think that we have control over our lives, but as you can see, we don't have control really. And so what I can tell to those women is, what is this costing you? You see, I believe in reincarnation, but I have to say, I'm not sure. So if this will be my only life, I would like to live it to the fullest, right? And so the thing that I found, by working with hundreds and hundreds of women, is that when you are in that space where you don't feel worthy, then there is a problem with taking the time and taking the resources, the money to invest in your own well-being. And so the idea is that now is a perfect time to begin something new, to confront that person that is in pain. And I have to say, the pain is not only from, childhood, but past life, like, millennia of women's feeling suppressed, and feeling that they have to comply and not having a voice, right? And so now is the time for that voice to be heard. And now I encourage women to just, reach out for help. Just ask for help.
Absolutely. Now is the time, right? We've been gifted this time where the entire world's been put on pause. So that time that you've been avoiding doing that personal development work, avoiding finding that deeper connection within yourself and to spirit, this is it. Like, this is our
There's
opportunity.
no going back, boo. And one of the things that we need to realize, how interesting, as a shaman, we work with cycles, right? In the universe, that's how it works. Nature works in cycle. And what happened is when we try so much, because think about this, we come here to expand, to ascend, to become, right? That we are supposed to, that, that light that we are, you see. And then the thing is that we come here and we're trying to comply, right? Not taking the risk, not doing the very thing that you came here to do. And so what happened is the universe take matter in its own hand. It's like, oh, you're not going to do it? Okay, let me give you a little push that, that you are able to basically do something, right? It's an awakening call. That's what I call it.
Absolutely. And we're going through a global awakening with this. Like, we are basically creating space so that those new systems that are actually supportive for the highest good of all to actually come in and anchor in. So right now, even though when we look outside us, it's absolute chaos and oh my God, there's a lot of fear. This is crazy, like so much uncertainty. On a deeper knowing, we know that that's all, we're seeing the collapse of systems that cannot energetically sustain in the way that we're moving forward, the way that Gaia's frequency has increased, that they have to go to make room,
And
right?
so and so the idea is that understanding that, for something new to take place, they always have to, chaos has to preside that. You see, from chaos everything comes order, and even in the chaos there is order. And that's what we sometimes, when we are in the middle of a situation and you are in survival and you are feeling the anxiety and the uncertainty and the doubts, right, the fears, that we are missing the point. The point is that this is, like you said, a sacred time that is being given to us to take the time to really go deep inside, to truly make that connection. And how interesting it is if you talk about Gaia and basically raising the frequency. You see, we for how long we've been talking about climate change, and all of a sudden, nobody does anything really, nothing that is actually impactful. And then she takes matter in her own hand. It's like, oh, you don't want to do anything? Well, guess what, boo? You're going to stay inside while I heal. I need to, it's like that mother that is like, children, you need to go on time out. I really need to take time. And this is what's happening now. It's part of the cycle of the
Absolutely.
shifting, right?
Absolutely. Gaia is taking a sacred breath and she is replenishing so unbelievably rapidly. It is astonishing how quickly she is replenishing in such a short period of time, which gives humanity hope because the way we were going, we were going to get our
Oh,
butts booted off the planet within maybe 50 years. We have
yeah.
triggered the fifth mass extinction, right?
Yes.
And so with this pause, this gives us like there's actually hope for my children's children and their children, that for the longevity of humanity. So it's
Yeah.
really incredible that we are alive in this lifetime to witness and be an usher in of this new era.
But you understand, right? That's not coincidence. Like we made a contract to come to this time, like the most exciting time there is. You see, you can be home and complain that you cannot go out. I saw a lady on TV complaining about not being able to do her hair. I'm like, really? Seriously? I wrote an article on that, and that was a little, I sound a little angry on that one. I will send it to you. But it is interesting because it's a big opportunity for us as a humanity to come back to basis, to understand that we're not human yet. We're experiment. And the idea is to be able to create that real human, you see, to be able to do that, to overcome all these limitations, and to truly find the potential that we have. We come here to be able to manage energy, to create, to truly come to terms with our power, with our inner power. But when you are in pain, when you are in anxiety, when you are in depression, when there's a lot of people trying to be part of this new shift, but they're not taking the time, they're not taking the resources to truly heal all those things. You see, energy, emotions are energies, and they're blocking your growth, and you need to understand that. And so this is a magnificent opportunity, very unique, to do just that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what would you say you've been really seeing in couples that have been coming to you for wisdom and for guidance in this time? Like, what are some of the common themes that you're seeing in couples right now in quarantine?
Well, the common thing is a lot of, especially women, feeling lonely, even though they're around their family and their kids and their husbands and their partner. And so that idea that you feel lonely even though you're surrounded with your loved ones, it's a symptom. There is a deeper, hurt. I call it the open wounds that we have. And so it's the first thing is to check in with yourself, right? Because one of the things that I see a lot is the blaming game. Like, he makes me feel that way, she just not understanding, he gets on my nerve. And so the idea is something you said from the beginning, is checking in with yourself, taking responsibility for your own behavior, from the patterns that are showing up, and just stop being judgmental about your partner and yourself, and just look at it with compassion, and understand that yes, that there is something here that needs healing. You see, emotion, I always say, is your inner GPS. It's telling you what it is that you need. So instead of trying to be in denial for, if this is something you've been doing for many years, so now is the time to face it, face the fact that yes, there is a problem. That we need to face that. We need to come to terms with the fact that there is a problem, because when you realize and you come to terms with that, then you can solve it. You see, you're able to work on it and then make a decision. Either you stay or you go. But then if you are in denial, you're not able to make that decision, right?
Absolutely. And I think right now we're really noticing how surface level and what depth our connection has actually been with people. You're really noticing, okay, so maybe my relationship with my friends are a lot more surface level than what I thought I was feeling connected because, we were so busy, and when we got together it was great, but now our only sense of connection is through talking on the phone, video calls, etc. And then things are just starting to fall flat almost. And even in relationships, like you said, women are surrounded by their families and still feeling lonely. So
Yep.
they're craving that deeper sense of connection. So why is it that what we thought was connection isn't actually there, right?
Well, one of the things that I learned is that when you have an inability to be with yourself, you see, not by yourself, with yourself, right? When you have an inability to be your best friend, right? When you have all this feeling of inadequacy, when you feel inadequate, when you don't embrace who you are, when you don't like who you are. And I totally can relate to that because there was, I spent 22 years feeling like that. You see, that there was something wrong with me, and I was not smart enough. I was not pretty enough. I didn't have enough money. I didn't. It was nothing was enough. You see, when you are in disease with yourself, then you have an inability to be with yourself. And so think about this: if you're not even able to be with yourself, to be your best company, then it doesn't matter who are around you. They might love you to death, but then you're not able to appreciate that because you don't appreciate yourself to begin with.
Absolutely, absolutely. Worthiness is something too that I think we all have had to do such deep work around. And one of the most like powerful things I have found within my own journey is actually sitting with myself when I'm feeling sad or angry, and actually just holding space for myself in that, rather than feeling like I need to shift it, rather than feeling like I need to numb it out, but actually like holding myself in that process. And that's confronting because you notice your patterns, like, I just want to check my phone right now, or
The
I just want to
compulsion, the
sit.
compulsion, right? That this compulsive thing where you
Yes,
always want to do something outside yourself. And it's one of the things that, and this is interesting because right now I'm designing a class. It's called the Return of the Goddess, because if we look at this challenge, this is an issue of worthiness that it just runs deeper than just my childhood. If you look at the last 3,000 years of history. We live in a patriarchal society. There was a time when we were burned to the stick for, practicing our gift, our superpower, healers, medicine women. You see, these were powerful authority figure in the community, right? And so what happened is when they created the new system, they have to, sort of like kind of remove all that, kill them all, burn them all. And so there is a pain that it runs on a cellular level deep inside ourselves. This is just more than just trauma from the childhood. It's 3,000 years of pain, of being suppressed, of not being able to speak up. And there's so many women with, this amazing power, this amazing gift, and they're afraid to use them. And they ask themselves, why is that? Why is it that I have all this thing and I'm not able to use it? I mean, I work with psychotherapists, psychologists, all these professional women's, and they still, have this question. It's because of this. It's a pain that runs through our system in a cellular level. And we need to work on that, on our subconscious mind, to be able to release this thing, to find our voice. And that's just part of Jaya New Vibration too. It's preparing us women to do that. And not only women, the feminine essence, the feminine part of every human being.
yes. The mother is back.
Oh,
She is
yeah.
back. And we're seeing the chaos, right? Divine feminine is chaotic, right? She's ever moving, and she's
Yeah.
this like, she shakes things up. She disrupts patterns. She disrupts like paradigms, right? Whereas the masculine holds her in that. So mama is
Yeah.
back, and we're seeing that, right? We're
And guess what? We're back. The goddess is back. The wise woman is back, and we're not going back to the cave. We're not. We're here to stay because we have seen what happened when the feminine energy is off balance. You see, it's not about subjugating the masculine. It's about working together. How it's it's intended to be that way. And even in your body, you see in your brain, you can see, left and right brain, feminine and masculine. And when they're not in working together, there is a balance that is off. It's off balance. So we need to be able to find that balance back. And it has to do with the way we relate to our partners, our husbands, our boyfriends, our boys. It's a new relationship that needs to take place.
Absolutely. And I think like when we first start this work of resurrecting the goddess within us, it's very easy for us to kind of move through a lot of anger and rage towards
Yes.
the masculine, right? And then
Mhm.
once we've moved through that, we have to come to a place of forgiveness to allow the masculine to actually rise into his divine aspect so he can hold us. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that
Plus, you know this very well, Mary. It's about also karmatic. Is this the thing? Is the subjugation of the feminine? It didn't happen just because, right? We also have responsibility in the whole deal.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. So I feel very much that though this is the rise of a divine feminine, it's also a rise of the divine masculine. Like we are going into union together. Like we are,
Yes.
like right now we are asking our husbands to make us feel physically safe in a time of uncertainty in a different way, right? Like we are looking at our husbands in different ways the last couple of months because there is such strange times out there. So yeah, it's very much a coming into harmony and a marriage, a sacred union together of that masculine and feminine within, as well as what we're seeing reflected out around us.
Yeah, that is so true. It's a marriage of the masculine and the feminine. That's what that marriage of women and men, feminine and different genders. It's a femininity in you and the masculinity in you, right? That is basically coming together, and it is a sacred union, you see. So there's a lot of people right now facing a lot of difficulty with their partner, and even I have the question was, in this time, it's smart for me to leave them. It's smart to get a divorce. And one of the things that I said to them is, first of all, when you're on uncertainty, when you're in fear and survival, you're not clear. You see, you become very impulsive. So the idea is to find someone. Of course, if your life is not in danger, because also there's a lot of women that are, suffering from domestic violence, and we need to understand that. But if that's not if your relationship is sort of like something that you can work on, then find somebody who's neutral, who can help you working through it. It's and even more when you've been together for many years.
Absolutely. So this very much can be a make or break it type of scenario because we are in such close quarters with our partners. So what are your thoughts on this? What is your advice to people that are experiencing such chaos within their relationships right now?
Well, again, what I have said, just take responsibility for your own behavior, right? Stop the blaming game. See how you also are, if the other person is triggering you, most likely you're triggering the other person too, because the other person is human too, right? They feel you the same way as you do. And so take responsibility. Um, and also checking in with yourself, checking in, how you feel in this moment. And there is a thing with when it comes to emotional pain, that again we're trying to deny that. We're trying to, no, it's gonna be okay, it's been like this for many years. No, face it, face that there is a problem, that there is a challenge that need to be taken care of, and look for help. If the relationship is something that, if you still love your partner, of course, then there's always hope. And so look for help. There is a lot of help out there. I mean, I
Absolutely.
work with couples all the time, so come on, seriously, as you deserve it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think too, as we're seeing the rise of the divine feminine, we're having to really look at that victim consciousness of us playing into that damsel in distress of playing the
Yeah.
blame game, like you said. So, in order for us to become queens and have kings to hold us in that, like we have to look at that princess archetype where we've been not taking responsibility for
Yeah.
ourselves, right?
Yeah, and that's part of the 3,000 years of conditioning to believe that we don't, we're very weak, we are second class citizens, we are the weakest, no. It's part of that whole 3,000 years of conditioning, and it's sort of healing, taking the time to heal yourself, to do the work, because guess what, doing the work, it is painful to face a lot of those things. When I work with my tribe, I call them my tribe, right? I love them. uh, there is a fear there too, because a human nature is running away from pain, right? That's human nature. But the idea is that you're not able to grow until you face that, until you face that damsel in distress and what it is that she's behaving like that, you see. And when you're able to come and turn to that and heal that part of you that is wounded, then you're able to step into your power and truly, truly bring to the universe, to the planet, to your community, to your household, the real you, the essence of who you are, right? The connectedness. You are now connected. And from that point of view, now you behave differently. You have more compassion for yourself and others. You learn how to practice self love, which is a huge part of this. Without self love, if you don't love yourself, right? And then this is a thing that I always have to remind my women's is like, if you're not able to love yourself, how is it that you're expecting somebody else to love you? If you don't know if you don't practice self-love, you don't even know how love look like. And so the idea of love that you might have in your head, it might be totally disconnected from reality.
Absolutely, absolutely. When I was really, really focusing on self-love work right at the beginning, I moved over to Austria to be with my husband 2 years ago. And it was shortly before that I'd gone through a trauma that just had ignited all this unworthiness stuff within me. So when I moved over here, I was feeling unworthy of his love. I had to really work through that. And as I really dove deep into the self love, I noticed that my love and appreciation for him was expanding to a totally different level than what I'd ever
Yeah.
experienced. So it is
Isn't
a
that
mirror.
amazing? Yes, we are projecting our own fear. We are projecting, this is you understand that how energy works. It's like a loop thing, right? That we basically, whatever it is that we're projecting out is whatever we're receiving. And that's just it's not a foreign concept. We can see it in our own life. And I went through that with my own, in my book I talk about that moment when we have very difficult moment in our relationship. And there was a point when he basically told me that he was starting to having feeling for another woman, and how that basically wounded me so deeply. But I always, at that moment I was in anger, I was in denial, and it's almost like I hated him for saying those things. But now the way I see it is like, wow, he was very courageous to just basically face it and tell me this is what's going on. When we were dating, he used to call me my little witch. And so he asked me that day, where is she? What you did to her? Because then, when I moved to the United States from the Dominican Republic, I became this compulsive workaholic, trying to please everybody, trying to prove something, you see. And then we go into those sort of like toxic patterns of behavior that are triggered when a new situation kicks in, right? Like this situation right now. And so the idea is to be true to yourself, to face it. There is something that I need to heal, and just start the journey. Because how amazing, now you have a totally different life, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what are some advice that you could give couples right now around expectations that they may be setting for themselves around how often they should be intimate during quarantine times, right? You have both ends of the spectrum where we're anxious, we're in fear mode, so not into it at all. And then we have the other spectrum where we have so much time on our hands, so we should be having sex like rabbits, right?
Well, for some people that's the truth, but for other couples it's different, because this is what I have, what I'm seeing. Some couple, because of the uncertainty, because of the insecurity, one of them is it become like almost adverse to having sex. They don't want to have sex, they don't feel comfortable with. and usually this thing stem from traumas. This is not just because of COVID-19. This is stem from traumas. So it's important that the person, because what happened is, and this is a known thing, that especially women, they fake it, right? They fake it because they don't want to disappoint their couple. They don't want them to be unhappy. And right there, that's a huge symptom that something is off, because you should not be. This is such a sacred union, right? It's a sacred union in between two energies that comes together to realize something. And so if you're faking that, you know how much damage you are not only causing for yourself but for the other person too, because guess what, the other person can feel it. They can feel it. And so the idea is to be able to talk about this. I call them having difficult conversation, and we run away from those things. We don't want to have a difficult conversation because it's awkward, because it feels awful, right? So the idea is to be able to have those difficult conversations. And again, if you're not able to do it, find someone to help you to have this conversation. In the other hand, for those who are having sex, I think sex is a beautiful antidote for stress. It helps you with the immune system. People should be able to have more, when it's healthy, of course, because it's good for you. It's the sacred union of two energies, and you feel replenished, recharged. So as much as you can. There is no like not never. Is it too much? No, as much as you can.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, what are some support and practices? Like, what are your favorite practices you offer to your clients to help them really connect with each other during this time?
Well, one of the things that for women, for instance, sex doesn't begin in the room. It's a whole process, right? For men, they're more, because they're like their masculine energy is more like to the point. But for women, they has to feel, love during the day. So my husband, for instance, I the way that we behave is, so he make me my tea in the morning. He bring it over. He made sure that if I'm having an interview, everything is okay. We cook together. We share a cup of wine, a glass of wine together. We watch a show together that we like. So that intimacy, it doesn't begin in the room, especially for women. It's sort of like the entire day and how we relate to one another, how we're able to be compassionate when the other one is having a hard time, being able to understand it, to sort of like hold space for that person without judging that person, right? And when we're able to come from your heart, from the space of love and compassion, then it's so easy. You see, then it's easy. Then you don't have to do all these things that people think that they need to do, right? And so it's being yourself, it's being compassionate, it's being there for you and for your partner, and just begin. It's sort of like I call it a little magical game that you play during the day, right? So sometime when I finish the interview, most likely I'll come and give him a hug and give him a kiss and say thank you for being silent. You see, those little things, being appreciative of it.
Beautiful. And that's something that the masculine loves, is being appreciated, right? Like that
Oh
is,
yeah,
yeah, they that
they
is that
crave
is like
that.
that is their love language. If you're not
They
appreciating
crave
your
it.
man, he's gonna really hold
Yes.
himself back.
Well, because they know that they look for that nourishment. You see, that we are the one who have that nourishment, and they crave it so much. I do, when I work with couples, I do what is called a 6 human needs assessment, right? To know what's your need. For men, usually it's the need for significance, to feel important, to feel appreciated. Women's is like love. But it's not that it's different, it's how they get fulfilled, the key, right?
I love that. Me and my partner actually last night did, just for 10 minutes, we just took turns saying something about the other person that we appreciate about them. We were in bed, we were about to get intimate, and we just connected emotionally that way. And it was really beautiful. And it was interesting to me to see the different love languages that were at play, because for him, he would appreciate things about me that I do for him, whereas for me, I appreciate more emotional qualities of him. So it was
Yeah.
very interesting to view that, and it was a really beautiful way to connect on an emotional level before to just help my womb open to be receptive to him, right?
Amen to that. That's what we need. And so you're ahead of the curve. But it shows the work that you've been doing, you see, it shows.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a really big process for me to get to a place within myself to feel safe to claim the sacredness of my womb, to ask him to ask for permission before he entered. That was so out of my comfort zone, like a year and a half ago, when I started asking him if he would ask for permission. But it was so healing. It was so healing, especially for I mean, all women have had sexual trauma within either this life or past lives, and so
Yep.
just by reclaiming the sovereignty of my womb, that was very, very powerful for us.
And that is so important, again, to be able to express that, to use your voice. But you see, it has to do with reclaiming your voice, being able to express how you truly feel, you see. So that's what I was saying when, so many women's faking. It's not very healthy. It's not healthy at all. Not for you, not for your partner at all.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of my listeners who are in relationships, they are women who are, on the spiritual path. They're really focused, dedicated, and a lot of them are with partners that might not be on similar journeys that way. So, like, for example, we have Susie. Susie does yoga, she meditates, she journeys to the galactics, she talks to her ancestors. She very much sees what's happening around us from the fifth dimensional perspective. She's all excited. We're ushering in new earth. It's all great. And Susie is with Bob. Bob is a very grounded man who calls it as he sees it. He's very in the 3D perspective of, okay, there's a virus out there and this is the only way to look at it, right? So Bob hasn't necessarily gone through his awakening yet. What advice would you give to couples where one is very into the energetics and the other is not so much, just very
Well,
grounded?
you have described me and my husband right there.
Then you are the perfect person to ask.
Exactly. So first of all, is the idea, the understanding. At the beginning, I thought these two things couldn't be reconciled. When I start going through I call it my own awakening process, right? And you know that process can be very painful. There is a lot of ups and downs, a lot of emotional. One day you feel amazing and you feel clear, and the other day just like so many doubts, so many fears, like what is this, what's going on, I'm going crazy, right? All those things. And so it was interesting because my husband is a very 3D type of person. He's very structured, very organized. And so at the beginning it almost felt like, in order for me to truly come into my power and to truly embrace this awakening process, oh, he needs to agree with, he needs to understand it, he needs to. And then what I realized is like, no, I had an aha moment. It's like, what is it that I'm talking about? He doesn't need to come to a realization. He doesn't need to be awakened with me, because it's just the awakening process is not like an orthodox dogma, right? It's not something that we have to believe. It's an experience, a personal experience. And so what I have learned is that when you're not ready to have that experience and somebody trying to push it on you, then now it becomes resentful, right? It's become this resenting thing that you don't want to even listen about, right? Hear about. And then I understood that everybody is going through their own journey and it will come to them. I don't know how many lifetime he will have to face and go through in order for that to happen, but that's his journey. Now, from my perspective as his partner, that nothing happened out of walk, right? Everything is happening for a reason and in total order. So then and as a shaman, we always talk about cycles and contracts, the contract that we make before we come here. And then I was like, well, if I marry this guy, it's because we agree that we'll come into this lifetime and that we'll help each other. And so how is it that, the people that are more challenging to you are the best teachers? You see, because it's very easy to go into like a monastery and meditate when everything is peaceful and everything is, you see. But when you have to face life and face challenges and face people that doesn't agree with you, that is a spiritual practice in itself. So it's not you removing the blockage, right? It's not releasing all these people and letting go. Again, if this is not a healthy relationship and your life is in danger, of course go leave. But that was not the case. The case that I love him and he loved me. We just didn't have, we have different ideas, different way of perceiving things. All of a sudden it became very clear to me, and he's still in 3D, and he claimed that he doesn't understand anything of, like, it's still, he's like, people ask me what you do, I have no clue what is it that you do again. Right? But then he is the one who will take my book and just, tell everybody, you need to buy it, you need to buy it right now. I mean, the book was launched back in 2000 September 2019, and right now he's in chapter 5.
Oh,
Okay, this morning he woke up at 4 a.m. in the morning and he's like, I was reading your book. And the first thing he said, listen to this, it's so interesting. It's like, you have a few things there that you have to fix. There's some mistake that I found. You see, that's a total 3D person. But we need them. Now we're like, okay, I have to get relaunch the book, because there is a word choice that I say 5-letter word and it should be, I guess, 6-letter word, right? And that was the first thing that he picked. I was like, wow. And hundreds of people have read this book and you are the first person to point that out, huh?
of course. And you're right, we do need them. Like my partner is a lot more grounded in 3D, whereas I'm shooting up through the cosmos and doing all sorts of work
Yeah.
that he is 100% my anchor to reality.
Yeah, and that is so true, because what I realized is that he is always grounded, and he the one who take care of the bills, the grocery, all those things that I don't like doing, not because I'm not capable of doing, just I don't like doing. It gives me the freedom to do what I do best, which is helping people heal, coaching people. It gives me so much freedom that I would not be able to do it, because we have 2 kids, and Amanda goes to college, but Christopher is still here, and he helping so much. Like right now with homeschooling, we share responsibility, and so it's understanding that everybody is participating in this ascension process, in one way or another. We're just playing different roles. And so when we honor that, without trying to change the person, respecting that the person, he doesn't have to believe or he doesn't have to agree with me in order for us to have a great relationship. I mean, we never, the conversation about spirituality are very, very sporadically. It's like random, you see. But that doesn't, it doesn't affect me. It did at the beginning, but then I realized that it doesn't have to be that way, because he's going through his own evolution, he's going through his own journey. And who am I to say that what he's doing is wrong? Who am I to say that?
Wow. Yes, that speaks so true to me as I've had to work through my own stuff around my partner not exactly being on the same journey. He is quite open because he's Irish, so he was raised around the folklore, and he's clairvoyant, so he does see spirits in our house and whatnot. And so we've had a lot of conversations, especially as of late, as the energies have been shifting. I am noticing
Mm.
his waking processes happening. But I agree
Good
with
for
what you.
you. I'm not, mine is not there yet.
It's exciting.
Oh,
But yeah, like I like how you said that we all play different roles in the ascension process because, for myself as well, when I made the move over here 2 years ago, he's just basically held the container. He's like, don't worry, babe. I got the rent. I got this. I'll cover everything. You just get yourself grounded and established and just focus on
yeah.
your business. And him taking that pressure off of me made such a big difference.
Yeah, like in my case, for instance, I used to work for corporate. I worked for corporate for many, many years, and I was very successful. And by any mean and measure of our, society, I was a successful career woman. I made six figure. I travel. Have all these experiences, and of course, neglected myself, neglected my family in the process. So when I had the heart attack, my husband had asked me, you might want to rethink your life, what you're doing. And I went back to corporate for 3 years, and then one day, um, in the book I talked about that too, how that happened. That was very interesting. uh, I realized that I couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it, and I just resigned. And when I came home, I was sort of like hesitant to tell him, because it was half of our income, right? And we live in New York, which is it's really expensive place to live. And I was so hesitant, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I say, I resign. And I was like that, I and he said, I remember he said it was about time. It was about time. And it was, so to me, that was just it was just, it released me. It felt so freeing, you see. So for me to go to ask him, and like, oh, on top of that, I'm expecting you to believe or to see the life in the same terms that it's unrealistic. It's just unrealistic. So whoever is having that situation, drop it. Just drop it. Just embrace it. Embrace your 3D man.
Yeah,
All he wants is to love you and to help you and to protect you. So just, and that's a masculine energy, you see. That's part of being the masculine energy.
absolutely. And so, what was your journey like with actually opening yourself up to receiving his support and receiving him becoming the main income earner in your house and
Well,
just
that was challenging, but that was not easy, because I started working when I was 14 years old. Not but and I started working without my mom knowing, right? Because I always was this independent person. I pay half of my tuition when I went to college. I pay for my own packet, and so I always had this. I was always independent. I always made my own money, because money represent power. You see, it's represent freedom in a way, because then you can make decisions. And so during that, it was a whole year where I basically was not producing anything. And it was interesting, because what happened is that feeling of not feeling worthy, right? Then it was intensified, because now, the way I receive, the way I fulfill that need for significance, to feel worthy, was through my job. My job became this important thing, and that's why I neglected myself and my family, because through my job I was fulfilling the need to feel worthy and important. And so when that was taken away, well, I took it away myself, but then that came up so strong for me. It was a year of, it was very painful, but it was so worth it, going through it and understanding that my value was not related to how much money I made. My value was innate. And there was more than me than just producing money. You see, it was more than that. And it was truly a wake up call for me. It was interesting. But at the beginning, I have to say, it was a huge, huge struggle.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's very much us collapsing that enslavement programming that we've had so deeply been conditioned into, that we have to be making X amount of dollars to feel worthy.
Yeah.
And for myself as well, when I first moved over here, my partner was basically carrying us financially. And I resisted that because shoot, I was an independent woman. I always took care of my stuff. But because I moved to a country that I didn't speak the language, it was time for me to fully focus on my soul work. I had to be at home with my butt at the computer and actually build this thing, right? And I
Yay.
resisted it. So I had so much guilt I had to work through
Oh
with
yes,
my partner
that's
paying
a
for.
very, very familiar feeling, the guilt. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like you said, it's part of the conditioning, because this is what, ever since you're a child, right? This is what you heard. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're not good, right? You're not worthy, right? And so it's sort of like it triggers all sort of things, but especially guilt.
Yeah. Guilt. And we carry that in our womb, and
Yes.
our source of pleasure, really, our
In our
source of
root
creativity.
chakra, right? This is
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
And one of the things, whenever women's talk to me, and I always ask about any, like physical pain, things like that. And they talked about a pain in the lower back. It always has to do with guilt, because
Mhm.
the lower back is so close to your root chakra, to your pleasure center, to your, I call it the life center, because think about this. This is where our new life is formed, right? And so it's a powerful, powerful center. And so when we have blockages there, like unworthiness and things like that, your body, it will feeling, you can feel it in your body. It will manifest in illnesses and pains and things like that. So it's become aware of those things. Everything is related.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so interesting when you go on your journey, like at the start, how we're raised, we have a physical ailment. So we just look at the physical aspect. But once you awaken, then your first actual thing is, okay, I have a problem in my hip. What's causing this problem in my hip? It's never physical. It's always energetic. It's always
No, it's never
emotional.
a physical thing. It's always in the shamanic, practice. Uh, we believe that any physical problem, any physical challenge, is what is called an imprinted emotion, and
Mhm.
that imprinted emotion is a trauma. And again, like you said before, it's not only from your childhood, but even past life. And so the idea is to find out, right, what it is. I call it finding the root cause of the challenge, of the issue, because when you find the root cause, then you can release that, you see. And
Yeah.
it take deep work, but it's also take a willingness to do the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say that, when we're going through our healing journeys, like you said, when we're first waking, things are so chaotic. And, like one day I'm feeling really blissful. And the next day it's like, oh my God, it's a complete like existential crisis.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing on a global level as well.
Yeah.
Like we're seeing the collective do their healing, do their shadow work. And so we're seeing like the messy parts right now.
Well, right now that shadow work is so needed, because again, and you go back to any type of relationship, not only with your partner, but I always said that the most important relationship that you have is the relationship with yourself. And during time like this, it's when that shadow, it's becomes stronger. You see? And so what happened is, because we've been so conditioned to, like and I don't like the blaming mode, but the conditioning of, believing that you're a sinner, that you were such a bad person, all these things, that shadow is so strong that we need to be able to see that. It's sort of like almost the structure of the ego, like an structural thing. It's almost like this, it's almost like a building that is being built for so many generations, that now we have to start taking this like one brick at a time, removing this one brick at a time. I always say that the human being is like an onion, right? That is layers and layers and layers, that we need to start peeling, peeling, peeling. And my tribe say, well, I thought I work on that, but it show us in different ways, you see. And it's continuing the work and be able to do the peeling, because inside, in the core, what you find is so amazingly beautiful, that is worth it, you see. It is worth it. You find that inner life, that aliveness that is residing in you, that consciousness that is you. You see, now you don't say my life, or I have a life. You understand that you're alive of self. You are life, you see. And it's the most amazing, peaceful feeling. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, you have to experience it. But I have to tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it, the work.
Absolutely. We get to experience such deep levels of bliss because we can feel such deep levels of grief.
Yes, yes, yes. And they go together. A lot of people say, well, we don't really have to suffer. Well, guess what? The suffering is a tool. It's a
Mm.
tool. The more you suffer, and I'm saying, like, once you understand that you don't have to suffer, then you don't have to suffer. But suffering is what takes you to the awakening process, you see? So it's like a
Mm.
tool to serve, to help you awaken and say, because there was a point in my life where I say, like, I can't do this anymore. I was killing myself slowly, right? And not only that, then my daughter, who was, I believe, 12 or 13 during that time, went into a deep depression. So not only me, I was suffering, but I was projecting that pain to the people that I love the most, right? And so the idea is you do this work not only for you, right? But also for those, for the next generation. And I say to women who, those women that don't even have kids, you do it because through your own awakening, you're affecting the DNA of those that are coming, after, because we together do a collective, we create the collective universal mind. And so we do have a responsibility, you see?
Absolutely. We're chain breakers.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
we're the light warrior, right?
We're the light warrior. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about our book before about your book, sorry.
Yeah, it is our book, Mary.
Oh,
It is
your
our book
book.
now, because you are warrior too. And well, the book was basically, I always say that it took 3 years to put together, but it really took 45 years. I've been writing my book ever since I started writing, right? And so the idea is that one day I realized that I was doing the one-on-one guiding and healing and all those things and the healing circle, but I realized that there were so many that I couldn't reach. There were so many that I couldn't reach, and that it was my story, right? It's like your story, different circumstances, but the same story. The story of the feminine energy who's being suppressed, who's being massacred, who's being raped, who's being um, a slave, you see? And so I had a dream. And in the dream, I started writing when I was a really small child, journaling. I always did that. It was part of my healing, just to write. And in my dream, my journey came up, right? And it started rearranging itself, the pages rearranging. And he told me, this is your book, this is our book, and it's going to have 7 chapters. And he even told me the order of the chapter. This is how it's going to be placed. And I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning with this, first of all, scared to death, like, oh my God, English is my second language. I doesn't even speak that well. Like, and they're asking me to write how is this even possible? I can do that, right? That's the first reaction. I can do that. But then within myself was this sort of like force. It was like a force that was like pushing me. And I went to my computer 3 a.m. in the morning. And next day, 4 p.m., I stopped without stop, without eating, with I just couldn't. And it was this pouring, like I took all my writing from, I always place my writing on my computer, and it was finding years and years and years of writing. And it was like dumping everything in one place. And it was such a chaos, such a mess. And when I looked at it, I say, it was like 500 pages. I was like, how am I going to make this into a book that is oh my God. But it was so, I knew that day that my life will be changed totally. And I just knew it. And I have no idea how, I didn't have the resources because I wasn't working to publish it. Um, so I have all these fears, but every time I try to put it, like I try to sort of like put it aside, in my meditation, the Buddha will come like this picture will come right in front of me. And it was like, oh, I'm not gonna get away from you. All right, you're not gonna leave me alone, huh? until I I basically worked on and honor it. And the interesting thing is, the day that was supposed to be launched, right, September 19, 2019, which is a very interesting day. I had ordered copies, right, for the launch, like 100 copies. Guess what? My order never made it. And the day before, the night before, I was in such a panic. I didn't have any books to show. It's a book launch. I only have my author copy with the great line. And I threw myself in the floor and I cry and I say, what does this mean? What is this? What is you trying to tell me? I did what you asked me. So what it is? And my husband asked, do you want to cancel the thing? And I say, I have this sort of like, no, we can't cancel it. And then my sister came and she brought me this beautiful bouquet of white flowers. And she's like, get up, just get up. You always told me, you taught me that everything's happening for a reason. I learned that from you. So tell me, why is this happening? There must be a reason why this is happening. So you need to get up. So I got up, and what happened was amazing. Right there, we created a message with the link to Amazon, and we sent it. My husband took his phone. He went through everybody on his phone. He sent it to everybody. My niece, my sister, myself, everybody. And this is the reason why we became number one. You see, so even when things are not going your way, you must trust. Even in chaos, order come from chaos. You see, but it's a matter of trust and honoring. You are here for a reason. You have something to do that nobody else can do. And so you must honor that, even with lack of resources, whatever it is happening, the universe will have you back. It will provide. And I can tell you, my life have changed ever since. Ever since, it's like a whole new. Well, you talk about the fifth dimension and the new earth. Well, I'm on it. All right, I have a piece of land there. Okay.
Wow, that is such a beautiful and inspiring story. You have me all revved up. Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. And before we end things, where can our listeners find you out on social media? Where are you at?
Well, my book is on Amazon to begin with, The Becoming of a Light Warrior. But they can find me on they can email me, Judy at bealightwarrior.com, Judy bealightwarrior.com. They can text me 845-642-1298. They can WhatsApp me, 845-642-1298. I find a lot of people from different countries, it's easy for them to send you a text via WhatsApp because it's also a free channel. And also through my website, The Becoming of a Light Warrior, which is my book. And Instagram, Yudy Veras Bueno. And Instagram, if you go to my profile, I have all these links there that you can even email me. I have everything set up for you. And you can find my book, you can find my blog. I always writing. Writing is one of my sort of like channels of how I channel things. Um, Also in Facebook, Yudy Veras Bueno. I'm the only one. I'm the only Yudy Veras Bueno Joyful Shaman there, so it's easy to find me. And I'll encourage everybody to connect because we're here in this together. And when I say that, we always talk about how connected we are as a species, and with our environment from a spiritual perspective. But now you can see that it's a natural thing because my actions now, right, can impact you so deeply to the point that, if I'm sick, I can cause really a lot of damage, right? So the idea is that now we see that interconnectedness at play. There's so many things that we're learning right this moment as
Mm.
a humanity, And we are, like you said, in a really important time. And it's important that people know that, so that they start, making the changes, doing the shift, because that's it's we need it, not only to heal the pain, but we owe it to ourselves, to our mother earth, to our evolution, to our ascension process, to our expansion. This is where we came here, so let's do it, right? So connect. I'm looking for, I love to get to know amazing people like you.
Amazing. It has been such an honor to have you on the show and to connect with you and get inspired by your beautiful channeled book. Like, wow, that's just straight from spirit. Straight from spirit, where like you can't deny it, right? You try to run
Well,
away from
it
things.
was so funny because I tried to make changes, and every time I tried to make changes that I wanted to make changes, it would not allow. I guys had like a huge blockage. I couldn't think. I couldn't write. I was like, okay, I get it. You want me to write it, but you don't want me to say anything, huh?
Spirit is hilarious.
It is so
Hilarious.
funny. It is, and I'm having a really amazing time, I have to say. But
Yeah.
this is how we're supposed to be for all of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's been such an honor to have you here, and I'll be sure to put your links in the show notes so that our audience can find you really easily and connect with you. And I'm so looking forward to just continuing this conversation through social
Oh,
media
me
and
too.
whatnot, and just continuing to build our relationship.
I would love to. Maybe we can offer a healing circle to your community. That would be great.
Let's vibe out on that together. We'll email. My circle
Yes.
would love that. They would love that. So
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure. I love connecting to warriors, to light warriors, you see, that are bringing change to our time, because we agreed to do this. You see, we agreed to come and do this. And even though sometimes we have these fears and these doubts, what I can tell you from my own experience is trust. Just trust the process, trust the journey. Anything that you need will come when you need it. You just have to trust and meditate.
and meditate daily.
Meditate. Don't forget, you have to do your practice.
Absolutely.
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Judy. It was such a pleasure, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love.
Love you. Take
Love
care. Much love to
you. I
you. Sending love and healing light to all your listeners.
thank you. We see you. We love you. It's an honor to walk alongside you at this time. We're here for a reason. We've been contracted, so we might as well do it.
And go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do
Take
it.
care.
Take
Bye bye.
care. Bye. There you have it, ladies. Another episode of the Sacred Sisterhood podcast, having a beautiful conversation with Yudy Veras Bueno. So if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe and share it with a sister who you know maybe is going through some things in her relationship during these COVID-19 quarantine times, or in general with any sister who is really working on reclaiming her power, reclaiming her voice, and doing the work. So I'm sending you all so much love. Have a beautiful weekend,